Matter. My co-host,
Yes.
Mr. Robert Davis, hanging out in
What's
Brooklyn.
going on?
What's up?
Yes,
I'm
Robert Lee
chilling.
Davis here
Yep.
in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and I'm hanging in Denver. Obviously we're here to talk about some inauguration stuff today,
Oh
Rob.
my God. Where do we
Um,
begin?
well, let's start with did you watch any of the inauguration today, by the way? Did you get to? I know you were working, and that leads me to my
I did.
first.
I did not get to see it live, but I tuned in
Mm.
when I came home. So I've seen everything except for Biden's part because I really don't care about him.
Because
But
you
I
like
watched all
another
the
old
rest
white
of it.
guy. I don't care. Um,
Yep, not
but
interested.
well, okay. So I did get to watch it because I had it on, and I'm working, and Mia is, she's taking her school, so I'd have one ear open because Wednesdays
Oh, right.
Jackie teaches in the morning, so I'm kind of doing the teacher dad thing. And that leads me to one
Okay.
thing. So you didn't watch the inauguration, and that's because
No, I did. I
oh
just
you
didn't watch
oh you just didn't watch that.
Biden's part.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So I have this question. Do you think Inauguration Day should be a national holiday?
Um, That's it's interesting. I rarely ever use this term, but I think that's too nationalistic for me. Like,
Oh,
because some
interesting.
people don't.
Get it? Don't
I
give a
mean, should
shit.
everyone care? Sure, but so yeah, some people really do not care.
I bet
I
they
mean,
like
they
a
wouldn't
day
mind a day
off. They'll
off,
take a
but
day off.
exactly.
Um,
I think election day should be a holiday,
oh,
but
completely
should
agreed.
b be moved. I think election day, everyone doesn't work Monday through Friday. I understand that. But if we use that as a framework, election day should be on the weekend. It should be 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Give people plenty of opportunity, right?
Hmm.
The votes all get counted on Monday, and the winner is announced on Tuesday.
That's interesting. That's not going to happen,
Because there's
unfortunately.
no need to like rush for, and that's a thing that
Mm,
he didn't really use it to his advantage, but it's a card that Trump played is the notion that something mysterious was happening because they were still counting.
I know.
How come they're still
It's
counting?
well, they stop where I'm ahead, and that's when they should stop.
Right, right,
Well,
right.
because I mean that comes from somebody who's just used to everything being handed to him. I mean, like I said, he was the
Oh,
most
totally.
most enabled human being on the planet. I mean, only an
Yes, he
enabled human
was.
being calls Brad Raffensperger and says, "Oh, what I really need you to do is find me
Find me
11,780
11,000
votes.
votes.
Like I just need one more vote than that, as if that's how it works, right?"
As
Um,
if that's a thing that's what does that even mean? Find me
Find me the vote. You
11,000
know
votes. Like
exactly what that
where?
means. He's a
Are
gangster
they hidden
politician.
somewhere? He's a wannabe gangster who is
This is
now,
correct,
thankfully,
correct.
um, removed
Yeah.
for the moment
Yeah.
from our daily discourse. He'll be
Did,
back,
I thought it
unfortunately.
was I thought the send off was fittingly pathetic.
I did
For
need. I saw a quick video.
That's all you needed
There's
to
a
see. That's
comedian
all
who
you
I
need to
love who just
see.
did a little Instagram
There,
post.
there was a little line of people that was like they were partitioned way away from him. That he was like, "Thank you," and I guarantee you it was the last staffer's like, "Thank God this is the last fucking thing I got to do for this asshole."
But
I
there
mean,
were still the hanger-ons. I'm sure Stephen Miller was over there crying, just
well,
beside
he's crying
himself.
because he's never going to get that kind of power again in the rest of his life. Okay,
No,
and
which
everything
we're
he's
lucky
tried to do
for.
is being taken away. Which we'll get into what's going on the first day
Hmm.
of the first 100 days, right? But like,
Yes,
so
yes.
as far as the inauguration goes, um, I'm not one to get into all of this kind of stuff as much as probably you will talk. But like, I thought Lady Gaga kicked ass. By the way,
I love Lady Gaga, right? No one can hold a candle. Whitney Houston is my everything. No one holds a candle, as far as I'm concerned, to her uh, national anthem performance.
mm-hmm.
A close second is Marvin Gaye, who sang the national anthem, but with a sexy background tune behind him.
Anything Marvin Gaye does
Um,
is sexy and
Anything Marvin
amazing.
Gaye does was amazing, amazing.
Dude.
But I have to give Gaga credit. She comprehended the gravity of the moment
Yeah.
and just went for performance. She didn't go for I mean, in
No.
her outfit, but she didn't go for
Yeah,
extravagance.
that
you
was
know?
actually almost toned down on her outfit, wasn't it? Though I mean, right? So it's
Yes.
like,
Imagine she brought the meat dress back.
yeah,
Could you
right,
imagine?
dude.
That'd be
But
brilliant.
you know, and it was one of the things I told Jackie, my wife, for those of you out there who don't know that, but is a lot of times that it's a very difficult song. By the way, it's a very difficult song.
Yes.
And
It's too long. by the way.
first of all, it's a terrible national anthem in my opinion. I always felt it should be "Oh Beautiful,"
America the Beautiful.
America the Beautiful. I'm sorry, yes, because that's just it's describing our land, and it's just like instead of rockets blaring, it's like why do there have to be rockets in our? I mean, we're the only one. Like we got missiles launching in our friggin' thing.
Yes,
like
we
that's
do.
that's what we're
Yes, we do.
glorifying in our national anthem. I'm not saying it's not a great song, by the way. It is. I think they
It's
should just
okay.
it should just be
Okay.
swapped. Like I mean, America the Beautiful should come in
America the
first,
Beautiful.
and
Yeah.
then let the Star Spangled Banner be something you sing as well if you want.
It's like the B list song. If there's
It
nobody
is.
who
It's
can
the B-side,
sing
yeah.
America the Beautiful. Then
Yeah, yeah. But going back to the Star Spangled Banner, though, it's a very hard song to sing, and so a lot of times when you see even very talented singers, it looks like the song is owning them as they're singing it. They may do a good job, but it looks like the song is owning them. And Lady Gaga was like, "Bitch, I got this." And she's like, you know, she owned that song,
It has
and
a
then.
lot of big notes.
But she
That's what it is.
performed. That was the thing. She didn't just sing; she performed. And I very rarely see people perform in the
It's
Star
true, there's a
Spangled
moment
Banner.
where she took which is not uncommon for singers to do, but where she took the microphone cord, like
Yeah,
which
little embellishment.
people normally do as a part of
Yeah.
And it was interesting, like, oh, she moved.
She
Like,
moved.
oh, is she gonna walk
She-
on this?
That's
stage
exactly
or
it.
something?
She moved way
Yeah.
more than I've ever seen somebody perform. Because usually one standing
Yeah.
microphone at a sporting event or
very
whatever, and they're
stiff.
very stiff
Yeah.
and everything.
Except for Roseanne, but anyway.
Yeah. But J Lo then came on, and
Oh.
so Jackie.
I don't know
By the
about
way,
that.
this is a running thing in our house. Jackie just hates J Lo. She respects J Lo. I don't know what it is.
I don't hate J-Lo.
No. But she has a thing where she's, you know,
About
like,
her?
is there ever somebody that you just kind of like a celebrity that you've always like, I kind of just love hating on that person. So J Lo is that's her.
Probably, if I think about it.
That's J Lo for her. She kind of like loves hating on J Lo for some reason. And
I like J-Lo.
I
Like,
do
I'd love
too.
to see she was a fly girl. I think she's a wonderful entertainer.
Yeah.
I think she, with certain acting roles, is interesting as
Mm-hmm.
an actor. But no one can touch her, or I shouldn't say that. But she's at the upper echelon of entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think of her as a singer per
Hmm.
se, and it just seemed odd to me that she was there.
right.
Like, it was just puzzling. That's
Huh.
all. But I like her. I don't dislike her.
Yeah, I don't dislike her either. It's just one of those things that it's just kind of funny because like she'll be hating on her, and I'm laughing about the whole thing. I'm like, what's wrong with J Lo? You know, what's up?
It's hilarious.
I don't know. Maybe she just thought that was supposed to be her life. It was one of those things. I don't know.
She was gonna be J-Lo.
She was gonna be J Lo. She could have been J Lo because she could have been J O. She's like, she took J Lo. Yeah, I know. But you know, like what I enjoyed about what I thought was funny about that whole thing was, like, of course that's what Trump is complaining about. Like he's just like, they get all these celebrities, and I never got celebrities like that.
Oh, I know.
And it's one of those.
didn't.
It was one of those moments where it's like, you know, it's you, right? This is one of those
Right, and you're
times
the
when
problem.
you're the problem. When everybody else around
Right.
you're the problem.
Right.
But you know
It
what?
was an interesting lineup though. J-Lo, Gaga, and
Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks.
So
I was like, what?
Well,
haven't heard his name.
okay,
in I
so
don't know.
I sent you a text about. I was like, couldn't they found somebody better to do Amazing Grace than Garth Brooks? Because I'm sorry,
They should have had him come as what was his alter ego, Chris Gaines.
yeah,
He should have come
nothing
as Chris
against
Gaines.
Garth Brooks at all. By the way, I mean he's an artist. He's very talented. He's
Yeah, he's
successful.
alright.
But
I don't know
he's
anything.
not the voice I want to hear singing Amazing Grace. I mean, I
No.
want to hear
No,
that's a
he's not.
gospel song. I feel like
Don't get me started.
you know.
So many other people.
So many other
Everybody
people.
was busy. I don't understand.
Well, and here's the thing: like, have Garth Brooks, but maybe have him sing something different, because the choice to bring Garth Brooks in was very concerted, and it what
Oh,
it
yeah,
does.
it's to speak to what they believe is the Trump audience. audience, I feel.
Well,
That's what I feel.
I would just say the standard Republican audience, because I don't think they're really trying to go to the Trump audience right now. I don't. But I think they're trying to go to like the rank and file Republican, like conservatives who want their party back. Because they exist. There's plenty of them who exist who are like, God, wow, we really went off the rails there, didn't they? Holy shit.
What?
You know?
Completely.
So I think that was a really interesting choice to have Garth Brooks come in and try to say, look, yeah, we're trying to appeal to everybody here. So, you know, I appreciate that. And what it speaks to in this, to me, is this is a very thoughtful administration already. All right.
Yeah, I'll give them that.
Now that should be.
I wouldn't have expected less, but
now one could argue that it's really sad that
that's all we're looking for is thoughtful.
That's all, because God, our standards have gotten so low. Because all the newscasts, like it was, you know, you'd hear these words like it was just nice to see somebody who knows how to do government. And the newscasters are so happy, and we're hearing it over and over again. And you're absolutely right. But we had this conversation earlier, and I think this is an interesting conversation that we could have on there. Is like, well, what's the media gonna do now? Like if you want to engage people and cover what's happening in this administration, you're gonna have to go back to covering issues. Like,
oh yeah,
you know,
you're, but I don't think the media is gonna run out of things, because I think. Which is, again, why I'm not on board with all this, you know, unity and, like, let's come together, right? I'm not looking for people to go out and, like, murder each other. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm completely uninterested in this idea of let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Because
I agree.
The issues that got us to the last 4 years don't vanish because Trump's not there.
Agreed. That's true.
Like, all of those issues are still going to be there.
There is, yeah.
So they're going to have to cover them, and they're going to have to like dig deep into what are the actual ills that are affecting the country. They can't pretend, which some people are going to try to do that. Oh well, he's gone now, so we don't have to worry. But we're just going to go back to being like happy-go-lucky Americans.
That's tends to be the problem for the left side. The left, they get what they want, and they're like, okay, cool. Now they're going to do everything I need them to do, right? And then everything's going to be hunky-dory and happy.
The Republican Party right now is, they don't even, the post-defeat autopsy. They don't even need to do the autopsy. They know what killed them.
Well, everybody
does. They literally
yeah.
know what killed them.
Yeah.
But there is no doubt in my mind that they are heavily underway with their plan of attack.
Well,
I think I know what they're going to do.
Interesting. Okay, what are they going to do, Rob? I want to hear this.
I believe they are going to, and we'll see, right? But I believe they're going to attempt to be the party that has the first female president. And what I think,
it's Nikki Haley.
If the smart people, and I hate to even call some of them smart, but they are, politically astute. They're going to attempt to run a woman who is a hybrid of Trump and Reagan.
Yeah, Nikki Haley.
She'll be as sweet outside as Reagan and just nasty internally.
It's going to be Nikki Haley. I'm telling you right now. She's because so there's only.
That's who they're setting up. Okay.
She's been setting herself up for it. She's one of only 2 women or people, I should say, not just men or women, who have left the Trump administration without ever being badmouthed. Like, I'm sure there's more, but like those are the one. And the other one is Kellyanne Conway, right? Because she quit, she left, God. And she's done. I know, but I love the story of her and her husband. I think it's hilarious. Her and her husband.
Oh, I think it's a show.
You think it's a show?
Show to sort of give this image to the world that even Republican, they may have disagreements in their households and they're still good people. Like, shut the fuck up. I don't care anything about Kellyanne Conway. Nothing.
I just love that you're like, fucking, I don't care about it.
I do not like her. I have such disrespect for her.
Yeah. So, I didn't say I had respect for her, but
Nikki Haley.
I think it's going to be Nikki Haley is going to be who they're going to try to bring. she's never slighted Trump. I will say this. She has done a fantastic balancing act compared to anybody else in the position she was in as ambassador to the UN. She did this immense balancing act. She really did, and she also has, I believe, Native American heritage as well.
That's going to be the interesting thing. No, I don't think she's. I think she's South Asian. I'm going to look it up.
Is that what it was?
It would be interesting watching these two.
Her and Kamala.
Because it would then both be telling this, the American immigrant story. Like that's what their two
true
campaign stories would be.
Right.
Well, they're both. They both. I mean, they don't have the exact same heritage, but they're. Nikki Haley's family is from India.
Yes.
As is Kamala's maternal.
I'm sorry,
side.
India. I said
So it'd be
Native American.
interesting
I
to
meant
watch
India.
those
Yes.
two things coexist. That'd be interesting.
Well, Kamala's going to be like, I've been here first. Sorry.
Yes,
But
she will.
but I guarantee you, Nikki Haley is going to be one of the 35 or 37 Republicans that are going to try to run against each other to be the next president.
You think it's going to be a huge crowd?
If they have learned from their mistakes, then no. But yeah, it's because they're almost more fractured right now than the Democrats. The Democrats are right. They're centrist and there's left, there's far left. I feel like, and there's a couple in betweens, but it's pretty quickly you're going to be labeled a centrist or super uber liberal left. But in the Republicans, you have this weird division of factions now because you have still the old, and I mean this is old school, and they're not even old school really, but the Tea Party guys like Ted Cruz.
Oh my God.
And
I can't.
but Ted is trying to be how do I get some of these Trump people, and he doesn't because he's just a
He
sniveling
can go
dude.
jump off of a bridge. If
And
I would
Hawley's
like to invite him to.
and Hawley's the next young guy who's trying to do it as well, right?
Oh my God. I can't with him.
Yeah, I know. And he's
Chris Crispy's going to be running too.
you think so? I don't know.
Oh my God. He's already trying to set himself up for it.
No, the one who I'd be interested in seeing if he comes out, and he's somebody I really don't like at all. Honestly, I really can't stand him. But I think he has also positioned himself well.
Oh
in
my
the
God.
Republic. Paul
Please
Ryan.
don't say Rand Paul.
No, Paul Ryan.
Paul Ryan.
Paul Ryan
Nobody's
said.
trying to see Paul Ryan come back.
I'm not saying I want him to. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised. I guarantee you somebody like him might be like, look, I took the Trump years basically off after the first he did. He was. Here's the one thing I'll say I appreciate about Paul Ryan, and I don't like him at all. I really can't stand him. I think he's a uber prick, but he left. He was like, you know what, man, I'm not gonna be Speaker of the House for this asshole. This is a mess. All right, and he just he decided I know he did the whole I'm gonna go with my family, but I bet you'll start seeing him emerge again. That's what I think.
Oh, that's interesting. I had not even thought about him in
Dark horse.
quite some time.
Yeah, and you'll get someone like Kasich,
And
right?
Pence going to try to come back.
Pence and Mother are gonna try to come back. Yes.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
It's not gonna work for him.
Kasich can't do his I'm still part of the. I still believe in my party. Your party's in flames.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, I know, and honestly, it's funny because we're talking. This is the inauguration day, and we're already talking about who the Republicans are going to throw up in front of us. For
They're planning.
They absolutely are planning because, and here's the thing, I actually believe, and I still hold it back and say Mitch McConnell could absolutely reverse at any time, and he could be fucking with everybody. But I actually think he is going to convict Trump. I think Mitch McConnell is done with Donald Trump. And I think he's gonna be that deciding vote to be like.
I mean, I hope they all do. They all still need to, burn on a stake, even if they do the right thing.
Somebody said he said burn on the stake. These liberals are crazy. Democrats are crazy.
Right? It was so crazy.
But I think McConnell he's gonna vote to convict him. I actually think he is.
Oh my God.
He'll still say
Well, I'm just glad that he doesn't have any more Senate power.
Well, he does have a
Right.
lot of Senate power, though. He does.
Well, he doesn't. He's not the majority leader. I'll put it that way.
Well, there is that.
I'm very happy that
He's
he's
not the
been
majority
stripped
leader.
of that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that Kamala is now our tiebreaker.
It's kind of badass, right? It's like, I'm
It's
speaking.
Brilliant.
I am speaking.
I remember watching it that night with things my mother, my sister, some aunts watching the vice presidential debate,
Yeah.
and she was what we needed, like this
Yeah.
fire, right?
Yeah.
This energy.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see her eviscerate Trump in a debate, but this moment for her, like it's sad for me that that she did not get to have the adoring crowds walking down Pennsylvania Avenue. Like that's a big part of the moment, I feel.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't take away from the historic nature. She broke so many barriers.
She did. Like so many.
One day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like she's like a quadruple
woman,
threat.
A black woman,
Mm-hmm.
a Caribbean woman,
Mm-hmm.
a South Asian woman, a I was going to say something about her children, like the fact that she's bringing in sort of stepchildren, like that's
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps there are stepchildren that I've never paid attention to before with others, but I feel like that's a key
Right.
piece of the puzzle.
First,
There's so many things that never
it's the
happened
first
before.
mixed race family in the White House.
Yes, that is correct.
Because I don't count Jefferson's slaves and what he did, because that's not
Wow.
family. Right? That's not family. See?
Wow.
Fucked up.
That's family.
But that's, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're play cousins.
Yeah. That's oh, man. Oh, we're going to get in trouble for that.
But yes, so so the historic nature of what this day means for
Yes.
I'm going to say for girls, it should be, yes, little boys should also and grown ass men, but little boys should also be able to see the importance of it. But definitely for girls, like this morning at the school that I'm at, the class, they were first graders. They were a first grade class, I think. And they knew today was inauguration day because they've heard people talking about it.
Right.
This one kid, he was very excited. He's like, this is inauguration day. I was like, wow. And he was really excited. I'm like, okay, you're very happy. He's like, my mom and dad are. They're very, very happy. Like, so obviously there's, goodness going on in his house around it.
Right.
But when you explain to some of the kids that the first of it, right? The historic nature of it, these are 7-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
People who were born in like 2013, something like
2013.
that. It's
2014.
completely foreign to them that these things are are like when you say like it's the first time that a girl has been the vice president, or it's always been boys before, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
Like in their brains are like, what are you talking about?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
how is that even real?
Yeah. No, I had to have that conversation with me. She's turned 7 in a couple months, and she's in first grade, and it was the exact same conversation. It was, and she's obviously at home doing this stuff, and she's like, well, I kind of want to watch the inauguration, Dad. I'm really interested in this, and I'm like, well, there's some interesting stuff and some not. Like, she's like, which car is Biden in? Because they're doing this is like, it was on, like, I just had it on the background, right? And like on
the
mute,
motorcade.
in the motorcade. Which one is his? And I'm like, well, and like, who are those guys? Why are they next to the car? What are they doing? And just like, she's just interested in all of that kind of stuff too. But then there was the firsts, and she actually did get to hear Amanda Gorman speak. So she actually got to hear that because her session was over. And I was like, come here, Mia. You got to come listen to this woman speak. And she was a highlight. That's all I want to say. Go ahead.
She was brilliant. Like, if there was ever a piece of writing for the moment, like, she literally gave you the words that needed. I'm going to say it this way. she said the things that a president needs to say, right? She said them more creatively so for
Well,
the song.
she's also not
Um,
like she's also not writing to third grade English. You know what I mean? Like that's
no, she is not.
you understand what I'm saying? Like as the
Yes, I
president of
do.
everybody, and just like media and journalists do. I mean, you
Hmm.
gotta kind of bring it to a simplicity thing because that was one of the things I was listening. I'm like. And Jackie and Timmy's like, this shit is dense, and I'm like, yeah, every word
Yes,
matters, and it was like
every word.
every word was the perfect word for this poem, and it was.
Like I knew a little bit about her because
Mhm,
they, just reading like
mhm.
yesterday. And then so I, came home. I put it on today. I'm watching it, and then she steps up, and I'm like, wow, she's really young. I'm like, okay, I don't, there's never been someone this young. I'm like, okay. She starts to speak. I just had this feeling like, okay, she's going to be good. I'm sure
Yeah,
she's going to be good. It's not going to be
she
horrible,
was
right?
so well. She was so
She
confident and
was
poised.
amazing.
First of all, I didn't know until after the poem was done that she wasn't like 15 years old because she was such a slight thing, and
Yes, yes, yes. She's
so
like 22,
she
23.
looked so young, and she's 22 years old. Didn't make it less impressive, by the way, but it
Mm-hmm,
was just
mm-hmm.
like I actually thought she was much younger than that.
My
But
God. And
and
the words
honestly,
you just
I
used was
actually wish I
right.
had written down
Poise.
some lines. I do want to pull up that poem at some point and take a look at it again because
Hmm.
it was fantastic. And it's like how often do you get to hear good poetry now that you can't go see a poetry slam right now? Or
What? Was there even a poet at Trump's inauguration?
I don't
Was
know.
there?
I don't
Was
know.
it like Jeff Foxworthy or
I
something?
don't
Like I
remember. I
can't
got like
imagine who he would have had.
incredibly high and like just kind of like watched it in like bitter anger because
I've
I was like,
never watched that one actually.
oh no, I did. I did. I was like, I gotta watch this. I watched the whole American Carnage speech and and it was so cringeworthy. The whole thing. It really was. Um, it was. He sounded so angry. It was interesting. It
Mm.
was like and that's my thing about Republicans. I'm like, you guys are not only we're obviously now historic sore losers. Okay. Like you have now taken it to
Yes.
historic
Yes,
portions as to how
they
much
have the crown.
you now have the crown. But you're also sore winners. Like even when they win, they're pissed.
Mm.
There's they're still
Okay.
they have to keep
Okay.
this anger machine going because the only way a lot of people vote for them is I think because they're angry about something that's most likely the Republicans' fault, by the way, which is always hilarious to me. They're like, look at this shitstorm
Yes.
of an economy we've created,
That
and
we
like that
created.
was the Democrats.
Yes.
Aren't you mad at the Democrats for what we did?
Yes.
So
That's
that
what's about to happen now.
oh, it is.
They're already starting their,
Oh no,
Fox
they're
News
going to be
machine.
huge deficit hawks now. They are. They're going to be
Oh, really?
yeah. They're after
Well, they're
after
already talking about tone, all of them. Like, well, we want to have, civil tones in our political discourse. I'm like, are you people?
mhm.
This is the place where I'm at. I am not for a second going to act like the last 4 years did not exist. And there are a number of people who are
Yeah.
like, we just have to move on. We
I'm
just
so
have to put it
tired of that too.
behind
Yeah,
us.
it's no.
No.
This is something that has to not be forgotten. That would be almost like Germany. Like, hey, can we just move on after Nazi? And I'm not
Exactly.
saying I'm not trying to compare this
Exactly.
administration to Nazi Germany. I'm just trying to give you the
No, but it's
juxtaposition.
about the gravity of a situation.
Exactly. It's like you got to pay attention to the gravity of the situation. You can't just move on. Like and
It's crazy.
so yeah, I agree. I think the impeachment. Like I actually love Nancy Pelosi was like that bitch. They were in my office. She's like, I mean, I like for somebody who took what 3 years, 2 years or so to decide on impeachment or find something when there was a lot of options for impeachment. I think, and she finally was like, this is my final straw. This is what we're going to impeach on. It could have been all of
Yes.
them on the impeachment table, really, but it took her that long. And with this, it was like we're impeaching this bit. They were talking about impeachment while they were huddled behind friggin'. They were like, we're impeaching this motherfucker now.
Oh yes.
Like they were like,
when
this is
they were
it.
like huddled down,
Oh hell yeah! They're like, what
texting each other. Yes, totally. And
Mm,
and watching her in her, seeing a lot of people today who
mhm,
definitely were in their glory, kind of, and they should be. That
mhm.
they
As they
did
should
what
be.
was necessary
As
to
they
get rid
should
of
be.
this man.
Mhm.
But the Republican Party needs to pay, and they will.
Yeah. One of the biggest disappointments was you couldn't. see them with their masks off, to see like the expressions on the faces as much as that, and that sucks. But that's the COVID reality, right? What I do appreciate also is, and I know there's parties and balls going on right now, but I mean, I left and did shit. What's that? As there should be. Not as many, though. Because, by the way, it would have been not as many whether January 6th happened or not because of COVID. Okay?
Right.
So I hope people aren't like, oh, they're scared. It's not that. On that aspect, I think. But what I do appreciate is, in the background is going on, and I saw the swearing in, and he's giving this whole speech to his employees as I'm doing shit around the house, and I'm hearing this. And I was like, wow. What an encouraging speech. But also, because it's probably the first time he as a boss is talking to some of these people. It's 1,000 people he's doing a swearing in on, right? On Zoom. And they're all on a camera and they're muted, of course. I mean, on like a big Zoom thing. It's like 2 huge television screens and everything. But he gives a speech about like where we are, what kind of work we're going to do, thanking the husbands and wives for their jobs. Thank you for doing all these things. That there was gratitude. But then he also said, and by the way, if you treat anybody with disrespect in this workplace, I will fire the fuck out of you. Like he did. I mean, he didn't say that part, but he said it like that. He was just he said it. He was like, if you treat anyone with disrespect, I will fire you on the spot. Believe me. Wow. And he was like, and I was like, thank you.
Coming from a previous administration where treating people with disrespect got you a raise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things I was like, see, okay, I'm not saying I love that Joe Biden is there other than other people that could have been there, including his vice president. But
don't get me started. We don't have enough time.
It's fine though, because it just gives us more time with her if she gets to be president. Okay.
Yes.
Think of it that way. And by the way, you can't deny experience once you're vice president. You can't, And so, but what you see with him is, honestly, I'm appreciating the decision of Joe Biden more now because of the disarray he was left by the previous administration. And the shitstorm they left, but also, like, you don't have time to figure out how to do the job of being in the White House in the current time frame of what we're living in right now. And so for somebody else who has not been in the White House like Biden has, they are all at a disadvantage compared to what he is at, right? In that aspect. Like, I think he's able to step in on day one and be more effective on day one. I think he's more effective in the first 100 days than a lot of other administrations of anybody else he was choosing against. I'm not saying they wouldn't have been effective, just like the Obama administration. They did some effective things, obviously. But for someone like, in this situation we're in, that's what I'm appreciating right now.
I hear you. I can't dispute what you're saying. It doesn't change how I feel, because I still believe that we're past the point, I believe, in culture where we have to default to that as a thought process, because it's not like the person is working in a silo, right?
Right. It's true.
So yes, you are in the White House, but you're not by yourself. You're by a cabinet and so forth and so on. I would expect a person who was newer, right? If a newer person had won, to have an extremely seasoned cabinet. That would be the balance.
Yeah.
For me.
And he's got a little peppered in there, right? I mean, he's got a lot of extremely seasoned people, but then he's bringing in some new faces. And we'll have to do some more on the cabinet as we get to know them more too, I think. But
yes. I still want to know who's going to be the education secretary. Like, that's of such importance to me.
Right.
And I really want to see.
That hasn't been announced yet?
That decision.
That hasn't been announced?
So.
That's got to have been announced.
But I didn't feel like I heard the person they had picked. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed that.
I'm going to pull it up right now. Education secretary.
I'm also, while you're pulling that up, I'm
Miguel Cardona.
He's been selected as that's going to be the person?
Biden selects Miguel Cardona. Yeah, he did it on January 4th, actually. It's just that a lot of shit's happened.
Maybe I missed that.
Yeah,
Okay,
you did.
all right. Let's
But
see.
yeah, I
Let's
knew
see.
everybody's been selected. Everybody's been selected for those positions by now, I believe. But okay, so here's what happened in the first day, other than all the pomp and circumstance, right? He did
Yes.
17 executive orders. It was the number I heard, and 9 of
I
which.
thought it was like 15, but yes, yes. It's close. Doesn't matter.
Okay,
Go.
so 9 of the executive orders he did were reversing Trump executive orders in previous Trump
Okay.
things. So like things like the Paris Accord,
Yes.
is in the
So
Muslim
we'll
ban.
potentially be able to breathe better
Hey, how
in
about
the
that?
future.
And the Muslim ban, right? So the Muslim ban
Yes,
is going to
that
be
needs to
another one. And that's
Needs to
gone.
go.
And there's some stuff on the on DARPA on the Dreamers program, and there's a couple. There's a sweeping immigration thing he's trying to put through, but that I don't think that was in the executive orders. But most of it was. I mean, not like again, 9 out of I think it was 17 were reversing Trump.
Right. Right.
Trump things, and that's kind of the thing about this executive order thing, right? It's like it's
'Cause
easy
you
with
can just do that.
swipe of a pen and it's gone, right? It just
Right.
Okay. Let me that's
Which to me is a question about giving the person who holds this position of the presidency so much sweeping power. I don't know that I agree with that. And I think if there's anything that I was able to better understand via the Trump administration is the reason why I don't like that. Because you end up with a crazy person just randomly doing things because they can.
Well, see, and see, here's the problem that we have. Like, this is very much like treating a lot of health problems that people do. They treat the symptom. They're not going to the core of the issue, right? So to me, the issue with an executive order is because we have the symptom is because we could get a president like Trump. But if you had like a president who had been properly vetted for a job like running the most powerful economy in world and a military in the world, maybe they should have some stringent requirements. Like a civics test, like pass a basic civics test. Can we? I think anybody in office needs to be able.
We're past that point. We're past the point where it's only over 35.
Yeah, it's a little
citizen,
too. Yeah.
What's the third?
No,
There's only 3 things.
Oh, it was a citizen over. Is it a felony? No,
I'm gonna
it's
look
not a
it up.
felony.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
But yeah, there needs to be greater requirements
I mean,
to
seriously,
even run
dude.
for this office.
Right? I just don't understand
And
why
there are
that's
things
not
that
a
you shouldn't
conversation.
be able to not do and still advance forward, right? Because his physical health, or
Yeah. Yeah.
the tax returns, all of these things. There's certain things.
All
that
these
should
things.
no
These
longer-
like.
you can't pass go if you haven't done these things.
Yeah, I mean, how much hot air is wasted on tax returns when it should just be like, yeah, you have to give us your tax returns if you're going to be president because you're going to be president, dude. What the of course. Like, you need to have a spotless record. I mean, I don't understand why that's a thing, that it's a voluntary thing. And here's the thing. Everybody else did it. But Trump basically looked at it and said, because this is the thing. All he's done is look for loopholes his entire life. He's cheated his entire life, found any way to get around whatever he could do, trying to find ways to not pay people all the time. This is documented. This is documented on how he works. And so that's what he did. So what he did is he was like, oh, wow, look, you all just trust that I'm going to do this the way you want me to do it? Okay, well, So that's what needs to be fixed. I think an executive decision or an executive orders there's nothing wrong with them per se theoretically if you have the qualified people in office to do the job. I think that's the thing. But
I hear you.
I don't know.
Hear you.
Yeah, it's better to do it legislatively, but sometimes the way the legislation is done, and there's the other route, right? So you wouldn't need these executive decisions if it wasn't so ridiculous in Congress, right?
Right.
Right. But
so let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
As because we could go so deep into this, but
We
I also
could.
want to hear your thoughts about your viewpoints, especially as it relates to the hemp war.
let me smoke.
for
Let me
the first 100 days. All right, yeah, get yourself ready, because that's going to be a big thing.
All right, so right now the first 100 days, hemp is already like what it is. There's regulations in place for it. To me, honestly, the conversation at the moment there's absolute conversations that have to happen in the hemp industry as far as business wise, but it's now federally legal. Okay, it's federally legal. Hemp is federally legal. Now, some of the regulations can be fixed, but those regulations can't be fixed until you remove cannabis from the Controlled Substances Act. And so like ideally, I think the entire Controlled Substances Act should pretty much be like broken down and rewritten, and so that it makes sense, because it was a Nixon era relic that has that's not really conducive to what we know about science, really, and the different substances that are on there in a way. So it needs to be kind of redefined. But the first thing is marijuana just needs to be removed. I mean, it just needs to be taken off. So THC, any cannabinoid needs to be taken off in that sense, and then kind of reclassified as it's its own thing. It really is. I feel like there's the way cannabis works is its own beast. It's and I don't mean like a beast. I just mean it's like it's actually a gentle giant, really, and so we just need to have common sense. Legislation, regulation around it, but the first thing is nationally say this is not a damaging substance. Let's take it off the Controlled Substances Act. Let's allow these business people to do their jobs, but also, like, that's the basics, right? That's the first thing.
Okay.
But the next thing that has to happen on that, and I've said this before, but I'm going to keep saying this, is then there has to be a concerted effort where there's a entrepreneur loan base for people of minority. All right, so I've never been somebody who believed in like reparations, as far as let's give you guys money for shit that happened hundreds of years ago, right? But I believe that this is what I mean by reparations. Is like, it's not like give somebody money. It's like give you more opportunity than you've ever had, the opportunity to have, because of how you've been treated. And so people of minority who have been fucked by by cannabis, by the system, and the racist policy of marijuana criminalization, it's like, well, we have to do something for that. So if you want to have a business in this, you need to be able to get a stake in this easier, because right now it's still like you need millions and millions of dollars to do this, and you have to pay for more lawyers, and you have to do all this. So it's really hard for somebody who doesn't have a crap ton of money to jump into this industry anymore. I mean, it like the days.
That's what reparations, the idea of it is built around. It's acknowledgement that the system is designed in that same way to continue holding back the same people it was originally intended to hold back. Right. I don't have an issue at all with the idea of reparations. I think there's a variety of ways to figure out how to make it happen. Like what you're saying is definitely one of those ways, and it becomes a question of figuring out how do you get more, Black people, people of color, women, people who have been traditionally disadvantaged from making it in the business fields. If that field, like the marijuana field, as it pushes towards legalization, is like, how do you break in now?
Well, I mean, if you're in a new state, so sometimes a state and will say, look, you can't have an outside owner come in. Like, you have to have local ownership here. So like Colorado, for example, and this is one of those times when you overregulate it, and like, so like there's always times when you go over that realm, and that's where like a lot of people on the right side of the fence will say that overregulation screws up business. And yeah, sometimes it does. Bad regulation does screw up business. Good regulation makes the world healthier and happier, and like, but what they did in Colorado was when legalization was first getting going, they said, look, you can't have outside investors coming in. And then before, people were getting outside investors because there was no law saying you couldn't. And then they said, no, you can't have outside investors. So it actually screwed some businesses. It absolutely screwed some businesses. But the idea behind it was like, hey, we want to protect the little business owners here in Colorado because the mega money is usually in the coasts and all that. And like, let's let these little guys and these mom and pop shops have a chance to thrive. But the mom and pop shops needed the money too. So if you had, so it didn't make sense, honestly, in the long run, like, because why wouldn't we bring in out of state investment? and maybe just have a rule like, yes, so much of the ownership has to be from inside of the state. And so
Okay.
that's now opened up by the way, and the floodgates open, and now we got like asshole practitioners here, which like that are just like yeah, they're trying to be the Budweisers of weed, right? Basically, or you know, the Starbucks of weed, and so
Starbucks of
whatever
weed.
it, you
That
know,
could be overpriced.
yeah, exactly. It'll be overpriced, and it'll be like really subpar, and that's already
That
happening.
tastes
you know?
bad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was the mentality behind it. But so there has to be a mentality where it's like, how do we infuse outside money into our communities that are starting these dispensaries, and how do we infuse it so that locals who love their community and want to help it and bolster it are the ones that get to be the business owners, or at least get to be,
Right.
you know, principals in their business with whatever investment they have or loans they're able to get and grants and stuff. You know, so that's something that absolutely needs to happen. But look, if they do not decriminalize, at the minimum, decriminalize marijuana, all cannabis, if they don't decriminalize all of it in the first 100 days, I will already be pissed off. But what they should be doing is, like I said, you remove it from Controlled Substances Act, start creating programs to start helping minorities have business. I mean, you know, anybody should be able to get a business. I'm not trying to just, you know, not include white people, but there has to be a fund that's specifically designed for that, because we can't trust our banks to do the right thing, right? And that's what it kind of comes down to, is now, you know, and so
But
that's
you need more white people to understand that and not push back on the notion of, you know, I'm getting screwed over. Why do I have to pay for something that, you know, I didn't own slaves? It's not about whether or not you actually own slaves.
no.
It's about, are you still benefiting from a system that was designed to disenfranchise those people, that has continued to disenfranchise their descendants while it's not affecting you at all.
I've always had a hard time, Rob, understanding the mentality of, well, why should I let them have something? That's not going to make my life better. When
Right.
it absolutely will. And that's it's like, is it directly putting money in your pocket? No, but does it make all the communities around you better when they all are healthy and everybody has money? I mean, a strong middle class makes everybody's life better. It just does. All right. And when
Totally.
and that's the thing. I think I don't understand that disconnect of, no, just give me what I own and what I've earned, and like, fuck all these other people out there. It's like I've always remembered this conversation about that a friend of mine told me about. He had with a German CEO, and this guy was a multimillionaire, and he was talking to another person who was a millionaire who was American, and the conversation was like, wow, man, but how much do you get taxed? And the guy's like, yeah, I get to like, you know, it's almost more 60%. It was like a ridiculous tax rate. It really was. And he's like, that's ridiculous. Aren't you upset? And he's like, no. He's like, I have clean streets everywhere I go. My society as well. There's not a homeless problem here. You know, I don't know what it's like now, but I'm just saying it. And he's like, all of those things are what I am paying for, and I still can do anything I want with all the money I have. And I just, again, I don't understand that mentality of it just
I
mind
feel
my
like it's
mind.
because people have been taught to believe that equality somehow takes something away from someone else,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Yeah.
leveling the playing field. And equality actually doesn't level the playing field. Equity does.
Equity does.
So equality, equality is all of us on the first floor of a building, and we're told that there's, $1 million on the 30th floor, and we just have to go up the stairs to get it, right?
Right.
Equity is realizing, well, there's someone there who's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So how do they get up the stairs?
Yeah.
So everyone is allowed to go to get that $1 million, but you have to create a path, the equity, that actually will allow everyone the chance
Right.
to get there. It has nothing to do with taking something away.
But so here's the next question, and
Someone
like, I
else.
know this will be labeled as socialism and communism and everything, blah blah blah. But like, now imagine somebody says, okay, there's $1 million on the 30th floor. Everybody here vote. A. I don't know why I got E. A. We can all race up there, and the person who gets it gets everything, or we can all decide to split it, and everybody walks home with a lot of money. because $1 million is a lot of money. But I mean, just saying, everybody walks home with money,
right.
and everybody gets the same amount of money. What do you think everybody would vote for?
I mean, I think it would really break down to the group of people. I actually think it'd be more people than not, depending on the size of the group, who would agree to split it.
Right.
If
right.
there were like, if there's $1 million upstairs and there's like, 5 of us, sure, let's split it. Maybe even 10 of us, fine. If there's 20 of us, now it's going to be a race to get upstairs to the 30th floor, I think.
That's interesting. Because you have better odds.
As the pool diminishes. Yeah.
As the pool diminishes. Interesting. Yeah, you're probably right, actually. But in a sense, that's like, what is that? A terrible analogy of socialism and capitalism, or a great analogy, or is it a brilliant analogy? I don't know. But to me, again, it's not about. It's again there's this nuance, right? It's not black or white. It's gray, right? There's this nuance of
gray matter.
It's gray matter. There's this nuance of like, you can't have unbridled capitalism and you can't have communism, all right? But social services,
it's a space in between.
There's this huge space in between, and what I don't understand about the space right now is that we tend to socialize banks, and we're not taking, and we utilize that, and we'll bail them out. And like, now we are bailing people out, obviously, in COVID, kind of. I mean, we'll see what the Democrats are doing, but yeah, it was more like it really was like fucked up because they just stopped doing it too. I mean, like in August, I think Mitch McConnell actually started making some serious errors, and he's not somebody who usually makes mistakes in the political. I think he did.
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
When they didn't fund anything for people, and he didn't like bend just a little, because that would have been like, hey, see, we're cool. We can do something for the people. I mean, why couldn't you do that for the people, really? Like, help them out.
You would think it would have been a smart move for him.
It would have been, and so maybe he's learned from his mistakes. I don't know.
We'll see. I don't trust him.
I don't trust him either. But I think he said provoked yesterday when he was speaking about
He did.
Trump.
He finally, had the nerve to make some sort of
he's careful. You don't
acknowledgement.
You don't. Yeah, but you don't say the word provoked unless you're like on the fence of like
unless you're ready to go down the
conviction path. Yeah, and he's not somebody who says anything unless he wants to let people know.
Look, I'm here for it. I will be watching that conviction, whatever form it comes. I do believe that Donald Trump will have, and his children, right? Yeah. Perhaps not the youngest one. He's too young to really be involved in it, but will have a spectacular demise, right? Including Melania. I can't stand her. That I think was far greater than any of us can truly picture.
Yeah. Well, to convict him, it's like they need 17 Republicans to convict him.
Something like that.
But it's just a majority vote to never allow him to hold public office again. So that's what's happening.
Which is great. That's nice.
He's never going to... I don't think he's going to want to hold public office again, honestly, but...
I want him to want to hold public office
you're
again
so funny.
While he's thinking about it from prison.
Yeah.
That's what I want, him to be thinking about holding public office
again.
He needs to be locked away. He does. And let me just say this really quick, because I know we're
cool.
Like 5 minutes or so. But you mentioned something before about the first 100 days and if they do something about marijuana. And I feel like one of the things that people who don't like Kamala dogged her for is they feel like as a prosecutor she jailed countless numbers of people on drug charges. And now that she's on talking about how she has smoked weed, and they feel like she's being disingenuous. I do hear their argument. I don't, and I'm happy to talk in depth with anyone who feels that way. I don't have that specific feeling. I do understand what they're saying. I do understand why they're making the statement, though I don't think that she was someone who was like intentionally trying to just lock people away.
Well, I think part of it is like, and you'll hear this when you talk to cops. The cops are like, is my job to arrest you if I catch you for marijuana, and it's like, yeah, I mean there is that, like, but that's when they're talking to somebody like me, right? I don't know what they think about, but I also, I've heard from Denver cops that I've talked to that when the first legalization came, the biggest thing for them was they didn't know what they could do or not do. And so
Right.
they were like in this weird way, like, we don't know what to do, so we should just leave it alone a lot of the
Right.
time. And which is kind of funny because it's like, you're supposed to know the law.
Supposed
Just
to.
saying. But there was a relief from a lot of the cops. Like, honestly, they were like, it's just bullshit to do this marijuana stuff. And they knew it.
Mhm.
And
It's a
so
waste of time.
it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. That's not really your job that you're supposed to be doing for the citizens. You're supposed to be protecting them. This isn't protecting anybody. It's just wasting time.
No.
And so I think that there's a lot of cops who were very relieved about it, and there's definitely going to be a lot of cops who are going to be very sad to see it go too. So
completely.
Because
They've made their careers out of going after.
quite a weapon in their
people for
arsenal.
these charges.
Hey, I smell weed in
Exactly.
here.
What's that smell?
What's that
Yeah.
smell? I smell weed. And they
Mhm.
can
I
still
smell
do that, by
cover-up.
the way, if you're
There we go.
smoking weed. And by the way, just don't smoke weed anymore if you're in a legal state, dumbass. Just take it home with you. Wait, or whatever. It's like, to me, it's just like, it's legal now.
Wait
What-
until you get home.
Just, I mean, or do it
love it.
before. I don't, just like, it's the same thing as open carry, like drinking while you're driving. It's just like, what are you doing? I mean, you shouldn't get drunk and then get in your car either. But when you're drinking while you're in your car, and I'm like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah. No, I hear you.
It's
That's
just,
a problem.
it's a problem. It's a problem.
That's a problem.
And so yeah, it's just the law. That's what it is. But
We're gonna have. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, as we, next week and future episodes, it's gonna be interesting to really study these next 100 days.
Well, and I think that's
and
what
really
that's.
see what occurs.
Yeah, I think that's a good conversation to have, and what I hope is a lot of people who have been very engaged because were afraid could be more engaged because they want to be engaged. Like they're like, okay, now let's see what you're doing, and let's see what's
right.
happening. Like I, but it's a problem. I mean, a lot of people just they're just in their lives and they don't want to do that. They're not the news junkies and want to know what's happening.
know.
But it's
We gotta
important.
Wake them up.
Well, I mean, you get a lot of people coming out when you're voting against something more than, right now than for it. It looks like
Yeah,
to me.
yeah,
You
that's true.
know, I
It's
mean,
very true. They weren't voting for Joe Biden. They were voting against Donald Trump.
well, some people were voting for Joe Biden.
I mean, some people were voting for Joe Biden. Yes, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. So I know someone's going to try to curse me out about that. Yes, some people clearly were liking him.
But the baby boomers
I
have,
understand.
you know what? Here's my thing. Like, and you and I were Generation X, whatever that means, right? But, well, I get it. Actually, I used to hate X, but I actually like the idea of X now because I feel like we're the crossroads generation.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened during our.
We know rotary
youth.
phones and like the technology, and we're
Yeah,
kind
we
of
have a connection to
Yeah.
the past. That
Yeah.
Kids now have there's nothing that they don't. We had record players, so did our grandparents.
we're the
We had
last
radios, so
participant.
did our
We didn't have
grandparents.
participation awards. That wasn't a thing. We're the last
No,
generation.
that wasn't a thing.
We're we're the last
I mean,
generation.
we did. You did get an award. We did get participation awards. You didn't get a gold star just if you didn't deserve a gold star.
Gotcha. Well, yeah.
That is the problem. Sure, if you want to give a certificate, Johnny was a part of the spelling bee today. Wonderful. But if Johnny lost the spelling bee and Susie won, Johnny shouldn't be getting a gold star.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel about it.
What if he's second? What if he was second?
He can get his silver.
Get a silver.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
But
Gold.
everybody's not going to.
Not everybody gets gold.
Star just to make
That's
everyone
right.
feel comfortable.
That's right.
That's ridiculous.
That's right. I get it.
But anyway,
Yeah.
on that note,
On that note, but anyway, I wanted to just say on that like I am just tired of the baby boomers generation, honestly, really, and that's like that's the generation like my parents are in. Really, they were on what tail end of it or whatever, early end of it, and but they have been in power
for a very long
for
time.
like 3 decades. It feels like, honestly.
Very long time.
Seriously, it's kind of ridiculous because a lot of people don't realize Bill Clinton is the same. Like, isn't he the same age or he's younger than Biden?
No, he's younger.
He's younger.
Bill Clinton must be. Hillary is like 72, I think. So Bill Clinton they were in school together at the same time. So he's maybe he's a little bit older. Maybe he's 74, probably. If
Mm,
he's not also 72.
yeah, maybe. But it's
Yeah.
just crazy to this generation has been in control for too long, and honestly, they've really effed it up, like insanely. And like I just feel like it's
I
time
mean,
for.
and the new generation will also do that. There will
Oh,
be
I know,
they will
but
be
but
messed
they
up. I
won't
just
have it
but
for
it is
3
time for new
decades.
blood.
Like one
Right.
generation shouldn't have 3 decades of control or 2.5 decades
I
of
hear
control.
you.
You know, that's all.
I hear
It's
you.
like
Yeah.
come
Go
on, man.
Biden. Don't
Go.
get me started.
I honestly
Yeah.
I thought about it for him too. I was like, there's little thoughts I had for Joe today that we're gonna end on this because we have to. But
Yes.
there's little thoughts I had for Joe today while I was watching. I was like, God, I hope he had a bathroom break.
A
I'm like,
bathroom break?
I'm
Oh
like
my
this
God.
poor old guy. He's been sitting. I mean, and I was like, and I was thinking, I started thinking, I was like, I wonder if Joe wears a diaper during these kind of events.
Stop.
And
Stop it. We have to end the episode right now. I'm not even ready for that conversation.
but like these are the thoughts I'm having for like Grandpa Joe here as our president. And I'm not
no.
saying he's
I mean, and if you look more, no shame if that's what someone needs to do. I
He-
want to make sure I'm not dismissing that, but
yeah.
I would hope that the commander in chief of one of the busiest, most powerful nations can make it without a diaper. I hope.
I'm sure.
It's
I'm
a
sure.
busy job.
I'm sure. But like these are the thoughts that are coming through my mind because he's old, dude. He's so
He's
old.
up there. He's up
He's
there.
a-
I mean,
my
if he's
dad
he
is
does have to
80.
wear one. I hope it works.
My
That's
look,
all. I hope it's a
my
good
dad is 80
brand.
and he's in great shape by the way for 80, but like there's no way that
You don't want him to be president.
no, I don't.
Not at 80.
I don't. No, not at that time. He needs to chill out on the couch and like read books and stuff. And just
Yes.
I know.
Watch documentaries.
seriously. Oh well. Anyway, we wish our new president the best of luck though.
Yes.
You know,
Of course, 100%.
and
I
our-
wish
and-
them both nothing but the best. I want them
and-
to succeed.
And I'm looking forward to a potential Harris 2024. 2024. What would be a good
What?
Yeah. Well,
Who knows? Maybe it'll be earlier. We don't know.
dude, that's messed up.
We don't
Because
know.
that's that's like
We don't know. Hey, it's not messed up on me. Dude's the one who said that he's only doing one term because he's old. He said it.
he did. Well, he is only doing one
So,
term because there's no
there's
way. I mean, there's just no way.
Whatever. I was talking to my mother earlier about that. They say the presidency ages you. What is Joe Biden going to look like in 4 years?
So he's gonna look like the Crypt Keeper when he gets out of there.
What?
Just like-
Thank you.
mhm,
But
okay.
death warmed over. But I wish them well. I wish them well.
I do too. All right, bro. We gotta get it. We gotta end the show. Thank you for
Yes,
everybody
yes,
for
yes.
listening
Good
today.
to talk to you, man.
What did we learn today? I don't know.
We learned a lot.
We learned a lot. We learned that
we have to
Amanda
just
Gorman
understand
is going to
executive
be like
order.
Amanda Gorman is
Amanda
going to.
Gorman's going to run the world.
She's like, holy crap! Yeah, she is. And
she's gonna be Stacey Abrams' running mate. That's what's going to
yeah.
happen. There we go.
learn that I worry that Joe Biden might wear a diaper. And
I can't
I
even.
know.
can't.
I'm sorry, I hit that again.
Can't believe you
And
put that image in my head.
sorry, dude. It's hey, he was out there for 4 hours. He was doing a lot.
Oh my God.
I know. All right. Well,
I
until
can't.
next time. We'll see y'all next
Until
week.
next time.
All right. Peace, love, and
Peace and
happiness.
what?
Yeah, happiness.